What's going on, guys? I'm Tommy and I'm coming at you with another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Jazwares Micro Galaxy Squadron Millennium Falcon from Episode 4, A New Hope. This particular release of the Millennium Falcon is a newer, almost like Armada Edition release, since the Millennium Falcon itself hasn't been released since Series 1 of Micro Galaxy Squadron with the Launch Edition stickers when the line first started. So this is really cool. This also includes Luke's land speeder. You get a bunch of minifigures, all the essential minifigures for the cast of A New Hope, and I think this is a great, very definitive update for this line. I picked this up through an order online on Jazwares Vault. Jazwares Vault is the Jazwares run website where they do some exclusive drops, this being one of them. You'll see here on the packaging, this is the kind of style of packaging they've been going with recently with these Jazwares Vault exclusives. So the front of the packaging here is actually part of a slipcover that we will pull off in a minute here after we check out all its angles. On the front you have a Star Wars logo, you have some of your warnings, your Episode 4 logo, and then we have a sticker here saying this is a 1 of 3,000 limited edition vault item. You have a great artwork piece of the Millennium Falcon on the front over, I'd assume maybe Alderaan before it blows up, who knows. Jazwares logo down on the bottom left, Millennium Falcon, that's the name of the ship, and then down here we have this is limited edition number 12 for this line. On the bottom of the slipcover, we just have your Disney, Star Wars, and Micro Galaxy Squadron logos. On the back of the slipcover, they've gone with the standard style of packaging for a lot of the backs of the packaging of these vehicles. Here you have your Star Wars logo, a hologram image of the vehicle showing you all the different features, not just for the Falcon, but also for Luke's land speeder. I even like down here, there are two different little holo projectors that show that the Millennium Falcon is an assault class vehicle and the land speeder is a light armor class vehicle. They do also give you two of the little cutout trading / display cards that you can use for these. That's also really cool to see. And then on the top of the slipcover here, we just have the Star Wars and Micro Galaxy Squadron logos. You don't need to cut any tape or remove any glue to get the slipcover off. It just comes right off the vehicle, which is always great. Very collector friendly in that way. Now we have the actual box that the vehicles are in. So on the front here, you have a really big plastic window that encompasses almost the entire front side of the packaging. Your Star Wars logo printed on that plastic there, as well as another Jazwares Vault 1 of 3,000 sticker with the Jazwares logo here. Again, Micro Galaxy Squadron logo, the name of the ship, and this is a 10-piece set. We have all our minifigures lined up here along with the Falcon and the land speeder here. On this side of the packaging, you just have your Star Wars logo here as well as your Micro Galaxy Squadron logo. The same thing will be mirrored on this side of the box. On the back of the packaging here, we get a really cool kind of like holographic image. It's got that like interesting different texture to it of the Death Star in the background. Looks really cool with the Micro Galaxy Squadron logo there. On the bottom of this packaging, we have all our warnings and legalese. Guys, please don't feed these ships to your babies. Are you kidding me? And then on the top here, we have a bit of that wraparound window, nothing else to show for that. So let's get this thing opened and then we'll check it out. All right, we have the vehicle unboxed, and before we do that, of course, as we usually do, we're first gonna take a look at our selection of minifigures here. These are 1-inch scale figures, and we have our full lineup of our main crew that we see in the Falcon before they get to the Death Star, being Han Solo, Chewbacca, Luke, and they specify that is his Tatooine look. We also have Obi-Wan, C-3PO, and R2-D2 in true Micro Galaxy fashion. We also have on the back here illustrations of all those guys in a blue grid background to match the rest of the packaging. We're going to take a look at these guys one by one. We'll start off with Han Solo here. Han Solo's got some great detail to him. He does have the brown paint for his hair, as well as the flesh tone for him there, and he has some black for his jacket, his tan color for the shirt. They did paint the brown for the belt, as well as the silver for his belt buckle, and if I lift up his arms here, you'll also see they did paint brown and black for his DL-44, He's got the red stripes on his blue pants and his black boots. They really did a good job here. They even painted some silver on the buckle on the back of the belt here, so very, very nice attention to detail here, and just crazy how far they've come since day one of this line with how detailed these minifigures are. As far as the articulation goes, it's going to be the same for almost all of these minifigures here. There is a rod that runs through the shoulders, which lets you swivel the shoulders a full 360 degrees. They move together. And then there's a rod that runs through the hips, which acts as a hinge and lets you bend the legs at approximately 90 degrees so these guys can sit inside the vehicles. Taking a look now at Chewbacca. Chewbacca's done in a nice brown plastic here with some lighter shades and darker shades mixed in, and you can see they painted the black for his nose, some brown and silver for his bandolier, which is great. You can see the satchel is painted on the leg there, and other than that, not a whole lot of detail for Chewie, but Chewie is a very plain looking character, not a whole lot of detail to show. And again, you can see he's got that nice articulation there, and he's going to be able to sit down so he can co-pilot with Han Solo in the Falcon. As for Luke Skywalker, they did also go with the same skin tone paint that they went with for Han there. They gave him the yellow for his hair. He's got some black with some silver for his belt, and you can also see they painted his little holster on the side there, and they did give you silver for the Skywalker lightsaber, and then there is that nice tan color for the wrappings and the pants there. He does also have that flesh tone colored paint for the hands there, and again, same as the other two, he's got that same articulation scheme. He's going to be able to sit down anywhere in the vehicle too. As for Obi-Wan, he's going to have a little bit of a darker skin tone than the other two. He does have some gray paint for his facial hair and his hair on the top of his head. All of the robes look really nice. Those are painted nicely, as well as his undershirt being that darker brown. He does have some nice brown paint for the belt, and you can see again, same thing, silver paint for the lightsaber hanging off his belt, and they even painted his shoes a nice brown color. Obi-Wan does have the same articulation as all our other figures here, and you can get that nice bend at the hips there so he can sit down in a vehicle. Now we have C-3PO. C-3PO is great because they did paint the silver leg for him to make him unique to Episode 4, A New Hope, and he's got that darker color painted at that midsection there for all that exposed circuitry. And he's another one of those characters, you don't need a whole ton of paint, you just need that base gold color, and it really gets the point across. Even though he is a little bit less acrobatic than the rest of our guys there, he does still have all the same articulation points as the rest of the figures. And then of course, our sixth and final minifigure here is R2-D2. So R2's a little bit different. Obviously, he's not going to have any articulation. Shouldn't be something you really expect at the 1-inch scale. And they did do a good job though of getting a lot of his key details, and honestly, very detailed blue paint on the top of the dome there with that silver. Looks really, really nice. And then at the white chassis, they painted on his little arms, I'll call them, as well as lots of different iconic panels on the front and on the back of the figure have been painted in that blue. He does have a peg hole in the bottom of him, and that's for a lot of those vehicles. If you want to put your astromech droid in them, there is a spot for them. All right, guys, let's take a look. We'll start off with the smaller vehicle, that being our Luke's land speeder here. This is a great little vehicle. I didn't have this in my Micro Galaxy Squadron collection before this release. I'm pretty sure it was a chase variant before, so honestly very happy to have this in the collection. I did see that it does have little clear plastic wheels on the bottom. That's a fun feature if you just want this thing to act as almost like a little Hot Wheels or Matchbox car. That's fun. It has a lot of weathering. You can just see the extreme heavy weathering all over the front and the top of the vehicle. Looks really nice like this. There is a nice clear piece of plastic for the windshield there, and they did make it so that you can actually pop the hood on this thing and look at all that painted detail up underneath the hood itself, as well as on the inside here. There is so much detail to look at in here, and that is really cool that at this small of a scale they can go that hard in the paint when it comes to the paint. Something I always love about Micro Galaxy Squadron is that Jazwares pays just as much attention to the bottoms of the vehicles as they do to the tops, so you have all that scraping underneath the vehicle there, like it's bottomed out several times. You've also got lots of scraping of all that nice brick colored paint for all the details there. I think that was a great touch. Another really cool and totally unnecessary detail about this thing is you do have a removable panel on this little side engine here, and you'll see they even went as far as to once again paint the inside of the panel in that little gunmetal color, and you can see some more exposed insides of the vehicle here. Again, just such cool extra detail, and they do really go above and beyond. In general, they go really above and beyond when it comes to of these vault exclusives, because these are geared more towards collectors than, you know, mass retail. But honestly, every angle of this thing is so nicely painted, and I'm really impressed with how this vehicle looks. Very, very happy to have this in my Micro Galaxy Squadron collection. Alright, now we take a look at the Millennium Falcon. So there is some assembly required. Two of the pieces are not attached to the vehicle, and so that will be the satellite dish here, and then also the top cannon here. So we do have the satellite dish. You'll see there is a light dark wash given to this whole thing. It is in a fixed position, so you will not be able to use it like a hinge, but I don't see a reason why you would, because it's only ever in one position in the movie anyway. This connects in this little peg hole right here. You'll kind of feel it like pop into place. You can pull it back out if you'd like, but it does also swivel a full 360 degrees when it's on the ship. And then, of course, we have our little quad laser here for the top of the ship here. They do have some nice gray paint over the base plastic color here, and there is a dark wash over this whole piece as well. This does have a hinge so that you can move this up and down, and then there is a peg here, corresponding peg hole in the little canopy on the top here, the viewport for the gunner. And you can see that this way you can use the hinge a full like 180 degrees here, and it does also swivel a full 360 degrees any direction you would like, so you do have lots of options for articulation on that top cannon. As far as the Falcon itself, this being a redo, you expect that it's going to be a little bit more highly detailed. Also being a Jazwares Vault exclusive, it's even more reason to have that expectation, because this is geared towards adult collectors. We have a little bit more of an eye for detail than little Timmy who's running down the Walmart aisle. So taking a look at this ship here, it's got all kinds of detail to it. I mean, just from the subtle details of the heavier weathering on the front of the ship, like the carbon scoring all throughout. Then you can see kind of the hyperdrive exhaust ports here on the back, having their own kind of exhaust. Very, very nice. Again, all little bits of carbon scoring all over the main saucer of the ship. Look great. All the exposed circuitry on the exposed panels on the top here are extremely grimy. There's so much detail in here, and I really like that. Lots of just little tiny pieces that are, some are printed paint applications, others are washes. The whole thing itself has a wash on it, and you can see just as much color and detail on the bottom of the ship as there is on the top. Once again, gotta give kudos to the Jazwares team for all the detail that they put into the bottoms of these vehicles. Of course, the back of the ship, you will see, has a clear piece here. You'd expect this to be blue. That's because I believe this thing lights up and it's battery powered. But as you can see on the front, on the canopy here for the main cockpit area, we do have clear plastic with some paint over to make the panels there, and that looks really nice. And again, just lots of little details. They even painted white on the front for the flashlights there. I really like that detail. Little crevice in here for a possible escape pod like we would see from the Solo movie. And again, just all the exposed circuitry and all the exposed machinery on the sides here. These little boarding ports here, everything is just so heavily weathered. It looks so good. I honestly could stare at this thing all day long with how heavily weathered it is. It's very, very nice. So if we want to check out the interior of the ship, because yes, there is a full interior here, my recommendation is to pull from the back corners here, and then the entire top of the ship comes off, revealing a very, very big interior. And you can also see here we do have lots and lots of painted and washed detail on the interior of this upper panel, which is super, super cool. I wondered what was jiggling around in here as I was playing around with this thing. They did include a removable floorboard here to hide figures in. This does actually house some figures in here, but that does click back into place if you want it to, which is a great reference to when they first get to the Death Star. I love that. Over here you have your whole seating area with the Dejaric table. You have little faux hallways around the place here. You have your entire setup for the hyperdrive area with some working buttons, and I'm actually noticing that some of these on top here are also working buttons, which I'm assuming do the same thing as those there. We have a little area that looks like has a little peg where you can plug R2 in. There's another peg over here you can plug R2 in, which is great to have him in a fixed position. I really like that. This cylinder does remove. The way to remove it is to have the part with the gun closest to it, and then you can pull this out, sit a figure in there, so you can actually have somebody working the guns, which is a super cool feature. There's even a spot where figures, you can imagine them walking in to the ship itself. There is a battery panel here. I'm interested to see what kind of batteries this takes, because I'd love to get some batteries in this and check out some of the light up and sound features this has. Of course, if we're checking out the Falcon, I feel like the cockpit is an important part to check out as well. This is a full interior for the cockpit that can house up to 4 figures inside. You can see the double flight yokes in there, and there are 2 seats in the back, 2 seats in the front. Is it to scale completely? No, absolutely not. But just the fact that you can actually fit 4 figures in there and you could actually see them through the viewports is amazing. So the next thing I'll do here is get some batteries in this thing. I think you'll need a number 0 or number 1 size Phillips head screwdriver should work to get this panel open, and I'll let you know what kind of batteries this takes. Alright, so removing the panel here, it looks like this thing is going to take a few batteries. So it looks like 3 AAA batteries, and they have this little ribbon in here so that you're able to remove these 2 that look like they're going to be stacked on top of each other. Alright, now that we've got the batteries secured in here, let's see what kind of lights and sounds this thing has. It doesn't look like it has any kind of motion sensor or anything, but we'll see what these 2 buttons do. Ooh, that's cool. It does have motion sound, and that works if you move it around after it's turned on. That's super, super cool. That light is a very bright blue. It's very, very nice. All right, now as far as our minifigures go, I think it's important we'll put R2-D2 on this little peg by the Jazwares table. R2 is going to sit on there very snugly. You can see him back here. As far as our cockpit area, I think we should have Han and Chewie in there for sure, so we'll put Han in the pilot's seat, in the driver's seat, if you will. Now these have little C-clips in here. It can be a little annoying and a little tricky trying to get their legs up in there, but once they're tucked in very nicely, it looks good. It's secure. They're not going to be falling all over the place once they're in that cockpit. We'll get Chewie in the co-pilot seat where he always is, always faithful first mate of the Millennium Falcon. Chewie being the bigger character he is, you're going to want to make sure that his legs are straddling the flight yokes here before you really start wedging him in there, just because that can be a little bit frustrating if both legs go to one side. It's very difficult to fix that, but you can get both these guys to sit in their pilot seats looking good. And then just so C-3PO is not rattling all around in the ship there, let's see if I can't cram 3PO into one of these back seats. This looks like a pretty daunting task, considering I have some adult-sized hands, and then you kind of have to tuck this guy back in there to really wedge him in. Alright, so I will say, while it's not the best and most convenient system, it definitely wasn't hard. So while it's a little bit cumbersome, you could still fit the figure in there very nicely. And with the hatch secured shut, you can see, if you look pretty closely, Han and Chewie and even 3PO in there. It's pretty cool to see them all in there through the clear plastic viewports. And now what we'll do is we'll just reassemble our Falcon here. So we'll just get this. You're going to want to kind of put this in here and then fold everything down. You'll kind of feel everything snap into place. And as I had shown before, these are the 2 that activate the buttons here on the back. And then we'll put our little gunner position there, back where it goes as well, looking great, and it's all connected. And of course, something we would definitely want to do with this ship here is extend our flight gear. So there are 1, 2, 3 pieces of flight gear technically on 3 hinges. Those open up and you can set the ship down in a landed position. And dare I not forget, there's also a nice hinge system here that clicks into place so that you can have a nice little walking ramp for our heroes to get in and out of the ship. An awesome, awesome detail there. As for Luke and Obi-Wan, I thought it would be pretty fitting to sit them in the land speeder together, and while there are not spots for 3PO and R2 to go, you can fit Luke in there very snugly, and he can be within reach of his flight yokes, so that is great. It is kind of annoying to get him crammed in there. I think you got to kind of bring the arms down below the flight yokes. Yeah, but once you get those there, he looks really nice and comfortable in that vehicle. And Obi-Wan, even with his long Jedi robes, is going to fit very comfortably in there as well. You can have 2 characters in here, shoulder to shoulder, very comfortably, and they look very good. And just for a quick comparison, here is the Launch Edition Falcon in my left hand, and in my right hand we have the one we're reviewing today. I'd say as far as detail goes, it is night and day. Yes, this one seems to have more of a dark wash applied, but there's so much more color and pop and much more realistic battle damage to this one. Especially when you look at the underneaths of the ships as well, you just have so much more visual appeal to the newer one than the older one. They are the same exact ship, same exact sculpt, so you're not missing out on, you know, the exclusivity of that. But I will say, as far as they go side by side, I think this one is the clear winner here, this newer one we're reviewing. But that's going to do it for this review, guys. This is definitely a set worth picking up, in my opinion. I am a huge fan of when they upgrade stuff and they really just keep things up to par to keep the quality control of the line consistent here, and this is nothing short of that. This is a great upgrade, lots more detail than previous releases of the Falcon here, and having something that was previously a 1 in 5,000 chase variant, being the land speeder, in my collection, much more accessible to me, is a great inclusion as well. But with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did and you're not yet subscribed, subscribe to Blitz Transmissions. I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. If you're an ARC Trooper in my Patreon, you would have seen this review early. If you'd like access to early content, monthly giveaways, and other awesome benefits, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. Become an ARC Trooper for just $4.99 a month. If you're a fan of the reviews I do here on YouTube, or you just want to support the YouTube channel directly, you can also check out my YouTube channel membership, Rancor Battalion, for just 99 cents a month. It gives you access to all my reviews early as opposed to all my content like you get with Patreon. You get exclusive badges and priority replies in my comment section, and you get to vote for what I review next for the channel like the Patreon members do. If you'd like some Blitz Transmissions swag, you could head over to the Blitz Transmissions Armory over on Printify. Link to that is in the description below, as well as links to my Discord and all my social media. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll catch you for the next one, and may the Force be with you.
Breaking off. All units, fire at will. Squad 2, pick your targets. Too many, Captain. Watch your stabilizer, Gold 6. Anybody cover me. I got 2 vultures on my tail. You've got to hold them here. Watch your left. I can't shake them. I'm hit. I'm hit. Where's our reinforcements?